Hello, welcome to 30 Minutes. I'm Rick Anthony. This is, I think, the fourth in the series that my good friend Hillard, Dr. Hillard Pouncy, and I have been doing. It happened almost by accident. Normally, Hillard is here maybe once a quarter. But we had one program where we were talking about the presidential election. One thing led to another, and now I can't keep him out of the studio. He is eager, always, to come and talk about, debate may be too strong a word, but to talk about the dynamics of the current election, the principles, and some of the implications, and they are significant. As always, welcome, Hillard.
It was a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Hillard is a friend, a colleague. He is also a social and political researcher. He is an author and a speaker on a number of issues having to do with social issues, problems, and opportunities. When last we spoke, I think it was just before the last debate, presidential debate, and here we are. This show will probably may air after the election,
or the day before the election,
as it turns out, or the day before,
right.
Depending upon how we schedule it.
It would be opportune if they did it the day before the election.
Should we talk prospectively, or should we?
Why don't we do both? Why don't we do both?
We'll do both.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Frankly,
as they say, it's a wrap.
I was surprised you even showed up this morning. Given what has been disclosed since our last discussion about the Clintons, the Clinton Foundation, both sides of the Clintons, all of the Clintons, the money that has changed hands, all of the corruption that has been disclosed about that family, et cetera. I'm amazed that you showed up because you don't have anything to talk about. Unless you want to talk about all that's been disclosed. And there's no way to rationalize any of that. There's no way to deny it. They're not even denying it. They're blaming it on the Russians. So where would you like to start? Or would you like to cancel?
I didn't know this. You want to change water? Because there may be something in what you I wish I had
anything left to talk about.
I wish I had some of what you had. It's a brazen effort on your part.
Well, let's see if you can come back.
So let's hit the reset button.
All right.
Because that was
not that again.
Yes, that was just brilliant comedy. I don't know if you were going for that. So it's a week out. We're about a week and a few days out from the election.
Thank God.
No, this has been, that's why I've been here every couple of weeks, because it's a one-of-a-kind social, political event.
Yes.
And beneath the humor and all that, we both are aware that there's something going on, and the real...
No question about that.
And the question is, what is going on?
And although we disagree on some fundamental issues, we have stipulated, and I think we would again today, both of these candidates are seriously flawed.
No. No.
So I'm not defending Trump, and I don't think you're defending Hillary the person.
Yeah, that's right. There are deeper things going on, and I've been a fan of your show, and the feelings are mutual about our friendship and mutual respect. And so I wouldn't be here if this were just one of those let's agree to disagree activities. There's something, to me anyway, novel and
I agree with you.
About this election, and I welcome the chance to get in the show, and every now and then get in a word about what may, in my opinion, be going on, and what that means for the future, and as you would put it, in retrospect as well. So, so as we're preparing the show now, we're about a week away from the election itself. In some sense, the election's baked in because there's early voting in several critical states. So we're the idea that there's going to be some big swing in the next few days is unlikely. So we can treat this as a.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
We'll talk about it, but
it depends on how you define big swing.
Let's talk about it. But just one other quick thing. So one of the fun parts for me of any election is something Maureen Dowd used to do before she was a columnist at the time, so when she was an actual reporter. She had a very good eye for the wacky, colorful elements of a campaign, and especially when it might be a portent, right? So what happened last night? I'm just going to ask a broad, open-ended question. What happened last night?
Are you talking about the nightly news?
No. Okay. What happened to Vice Presidential candidate Pence last night?
His plane ran off the runway.
Yes, and the conventional say you'd go, the campaign ran off the rails, his ran off the runway, which is the kind of point I would, cheap shot, but to me
It ran off the rails. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Frankly, my initial reaction was it's a conspiracy. They're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, that might be true too.
That's your
or he
side.
was trying to get away. But it's just that
Yes.
those elements of this campaign that just add to the and every almost day now there's something that in a normal election cycle would be a defining event for the whole.
We are in hyperbole state.
Well, my term had been
hyper-
yeah. And I think I've been proven right. So
Right.
I don't know. They're just
And your point, therefore, is?
I was right about the fiasco part of it.
No, not at all. Well, it depends on which side you're. Which
We just made
perspective.
fun of the fact that that one of the candidates, vice presidents, may have been jokingly.
Yes.
Well, that would be that's
Okay.
a tell
All
that
right.
it's
Okay.
that we can. Yeah. So that's one idea that there's has been a noisy, messy campaign.
Yes.
But underneath it, what does that tell us? And so this will be the retrospective part of it. Looking back, what did we see? And then we can do looking forward, what do we see? Looking back, here's what I see. I'll go first, if you don't mind.
That's fine. You're my guest.
So what I see looking backward isn't this horse race narrow vision of, so who's going to win and how brilliantly did they manage the campaign. Here's what I'm looking back see, two big things. One is we're never, ever again going to put the print journalist in the front seat of the campaign planes. The question is, how do you figure out who's now driving messages for campaigns, and now that campaigns are about to have gone online? For example, Trump himself has been his best journalist, communicator, spokesperson, whatever. He, in effect, hijacked a major political party's communication apparatus. And is that going to be a norm, or will there be an adjustment? But the dawn of the social media based so the factor of social media in a campaign is now front and center.
I agree with that, but he didn't bring that to the fore. Obama did in his first campaign.
There's something very different.
It was brilliant.
I'm talking about, yes, that is correct. But then it's the next generation thereof. So the Obama campaign didn't have the feature of their candidate getting up at 2 a.m.
Agreed.
and
Okay.
taking personal
I
control
understand.
over the messaging for an entire day
Okay.
or news cycle. That says that this is here to stay, and what are you going to do about that? And then the second, in retrospect, factor is a story coming out of the Clinton side. Now, earlier you were talking as if you were delusional.
No, I was reporting facts. Yes.
And so what's underneath the thing about going on with the Clinton campaign, which is losing control over your message, right? That's every campaign's big fear.
Yes.
So on the Republican side, losing control is because anybody in the campaign can get direct access to the message, and for good or bad.
All right.
What the Clinton campaign illustrates, it seems to me, is what happens when there are no more international boundaries because of what happens on the internet. In other words, if the New York Times prints a story of leaked documents, right?
Yes.
At least on my side of this table, there's an importance to what they did before they printed the story. They found the accountant who had done the tax returns and said, "Is this your work?" So there was some effort at vetting, clarifying, interrogating, etc. But with WikiLeaks, you now have from any source, right? Any source, just data dumps or intrusions into any campaign for any reason, and there's
Yes.
the opportunity to vet that is you're on your own. And what does that mean? And how in this new arena we've now got built for ourselves, do we get a sense of what a campaign can and can't do? What are the new rules, and how, as a citizen, do you interrogate your, how do you get your news? All we have are questions, but that's what it seems to me comes out of this campaign. I mean, there are lots of other things people want to talk about, the demographics, the who's feeling alienated and who's going to vote, who's going to not vote.
I think there's a more fundamental issue, though, that comes out of that. If we are now operating in an era where there are witnesses to everything.
Yes, right.
And
that's one of our running themes, by the way.
There are witnesses to everything, and that utterances, whatever's committed to paper or so on, now becomes part of cyberspace, and it's there forever. Isn't the lesson to be learned from that? Think twice before you say, you act, play by the rules, don't be caught in a situation that may compromise you, because you can't afford the probability that whatever the facts are, they're going to be distorted. Whatever the circumstances are, they're going to be presented as perverse.
That's right. We
so
actually,
that should,
yeah, we
that
actually
should
agree
force
with
us
right.
to behave.
Yeah,
better
no,
than they have.
it's the new ethics that,
Right.
that the consequence of the new media is a new type of ethics, which, if I were better at philosophy, someone would probably point out, well, actually all you're doing is restating whomever among the traditional canon said, do right because you never know if you're going to get caught. I just don't know my philosophy that well. But yeah, that would be one. But then twin with that possibility, though, are then intentional efforts. In other words, one argument would be I should be therefore doubly, triply cautious.
Right.
But the other argument is it may be useful to be impulsive, authentic, unthoughtful. Right. That's the. Donald Trump ran the House on the Republican side precisely by taking caution and throwing it away. So now, those are two lessons. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
I'll give you another one about what the new transparency means. So I was on Twitter, and someone had put in a link to a cable channel that was doing in real time what was a Trump rally in Newtown, Bucks County. And I've never been to a Trump rally. Interesting. Yeah, but I would okay.
No.
And
Only vicariously.
well, that was it. Like, what's going to, because on TV, they're editing and selecting for us what's going on. And the question for me is, who are these? Who is the Trump voter? What's going on? So there I could watch in real time. And what I noticed that you don't hear, at least in the crowd I run with, was, well, first of all, they were a crowd, and if I had not known what they were there for, I would have said, oh, a new Rocky movie has come out. Because my definition of a Rocky movie is guys 18 to 34, if they're women there, they are with guys, but there are going to be guy groups and guys with girls, but no girl groups. And then there's a kind of movie where there'll be girl groups, and the guys there are with a girl, but there are no guy groups. It's a
I understand.
way it is. And so that was the first thing I noticed, that it's a guy-driven thing, which isn't much of a surprise. The second thing I noticed was that there were black people there. And the most compelling thing was that they brought up a guy who was apparently an opera singer, something like that, and he did the Star Spangled Banner, and brilliantly. And before this, they had been turning their backs to their speakers, doing selfies. They could care less about these lesser talents. They wanted Trump. But when the singer got up, this was important to them. It's to be, you have to be a fair-minded person. It's like, so it's not some simplistic. Race is our identity, and we're opposed to minorities and immigrants in a cartoon-like way. There's a richness to what's going on with this crowd, and they were they, as I said, all I could make out of it was mostly younger men,
Yes.
white, as if they were at a movie, and I didn't see the animos that you're supposed to find at Trump rallies and all that. And that's what this new arena we're talking about lets you do. It lets you make your own judgment about well, what's going on with those people. I'm not going to vote for Trump, but it was fascinating to me to see a Trump rally and confirm and disconfirm things that I had been told about his voter. Now that's a selective sample. Maybe if I kept doing it, I might see different things, but that's what I saw in my own backyard.
Well, can I pick up on that?
Sure.
Because, as you know, a couple of days ago, I guess it was, he unveiled his New Deal, particularly New Deal for
Did he call it that?
The black community. The news media are calling it a New Deal.
Right.
And I don't know if he is or not. I truly don't.
Right.
But it's been
It's
reported
just that it's
as
so.
I know.
Yeah.
The New Deal, particularly for the black community in the country. What was, I don't know if you heard it, are familiar with what he's proposing, what he's offering the black community behind his "what the hell do you have to lose?" You've heard that line that he's used with the black community. A reaction to his outreach to the black community?
Well, I don't think we've talked about this in a direct way, but it's very simple. If the Trump campaign isn't interested in the black voter, it turns out they have them. I mean, NPR finds them regularly. I don't personally know anybody of any minority status telling me directly they're going to vote for Trump. But no, it's you would do this if you were running a campaign. You're trying to get your coalition solid, and you don't want people to feel embarrassed about voting for you. So you by talking about your plans and visions for the inner city.
Clearly, there's some pragmatism behind it. He needs every vote he can get. And the Republicans have traditionally not been able to.
It's not an efficient effort for him to go for a black vote. In my view, and I think I'm right, what you're doing when you show compassion or outreach to a group not normally in your coalition is you're signaling to people in your coalition that you have some attribute you want. Like, I'm not a racist, or I'm thinking about
so you
others.
really don't think it was genuine? That it's
I didn't say it wasn't genuine. I just said, what was the point of it? Let's put it this way. If I were managing the Trump campaign, involved in it deeply, and I seriously wanted black votes, I wouldn't tell a bunch of folks at the rally I saw in Bucks County, who were, as I said, the demographics were skewed aggressively.
Yes.
I would take him to a black church, which he's done on maybe twice, and it didn't go well. And I just keep, if that's what I really wanted to do, he would be in front of black audiences talking about this stuff. And he would be alive to the response. In other words, the Trump campaign, very shrewd campaign, I might note, they can be very responsive to members of their coalition, but in a negative way. Like, he'll say, I'm going to punish the defectors from, in Congress and all that. But if you're serious about an outreach effort, you don't do what he's doing. You go to some non-representative group and talk about the people who aren't there. So this isn't about
Hillard,
black
you're a
Americans.
political scientist, a researcher, and we haven't talked about this before. But as you know, this is being presented as one of, if not the dirtiest, one of the dirtiest campaigns in the modern era, in our history anyway, in the U.S., on both sides, slinging mud, all this, everything we've talked about. Is it, in fact, from a historical perspective, the dirtiest campaign we've ever seen in this country?
Yeah. So I'm not
terms of
going to do. No, I get it. I get your question, and and I'm not going to do the academic thing of saying, well, there was the Watergate thing and it's dirty, betraying the trust of people by
even farther.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. No. But here's why I think there's a point to be made about the quality of this campaign. So they're at the Al Smith dinner.
Yes.
Did you watch that thing?
I watched part of it, yes.
Was it too painful to watch all of it?
No, that wasn't the reason. I tuned in late. That's the truth. It was painful to watch for me because I thought he blew it.
Yeah, exactly. He got booed by the most civil society you could imagine, Jesuits.
But then I heard a rationalization afterwards that he was really playing to his base
whatever
that
his reasoning was, the point is,
it was, in
Yeah.
my opinion, it was inappropriate.
yes,
it was,
yeah,
it
and
was
that,
bad
yeah,
judgment.
that's right.
It was,
That's right. That's what I would. That's why I would call it a dirty campaign, meaning you're insulting the electorate, and you're maybe even doing some harm to the electorate. You're coarsening discourse, things like that. So in that sense, I would go there. I would say that's right.
On the other hand, you didn't see any hypocrisy in
Wait, that's a big word. What does that mean?
Hillary's being there, sitting next to the cardinal, with the information that had just been released about her campaign's attitude towards Catholics, Christians, and evangelicals.
Yeah. So, but it's one thing to to have a campaign that has bad character. It's another thing to then, as the front person for the campaign, make it abundantly clear that whatever you may have read about them, it's true. In other words, she didn't insult Catholics to their face. I mean,
She's too smart for that.
well, call it what you
She's been
want.
at this a long time.
I think there's still a level of character, bad character you can achieve, and she didn't quite go there. But I will say this about the campaign, then we can talk about the future. So there are a couple of bright spots that make me smile. And one of them is, how are these candidates connecting to young people? Because these candidates are getting close to our age. You know what I'm saying? And this, did you hear about this? There was they did a flash mob for Hillary in North Carolina. Did you hear about
No,
this?
I hadn't heard about that.
So you know what a flash mob is?
Tell me.
Okay. So this is a social media thing. So a bunch of people who've never met talk to each other via some app and say, why don't we all get together at 9:01 at some precise spot, and here's what you got to wear and here's what you got to do. So it's spontaneous, but then in another sense it's
planned.
Yeah, right. But for the people who were just walking around minding their own business, it's mind-blowing. It's like, whoa. And so they did a flash mob, all female, and the gimmick was, we're going to dress like Hillary, and we're going to do some dance that we saw on some music video.
I hadn't heard about
it. So it's like Hillary's granddaughters, not even her daughter, who showed life and fun and spontaneity and humor, connecting to grandma, right? It's that if I were a Democrat, I'd be heartened by that, because it means that the millennials have found a way to view Hillary. They don't. I can't imagine they.
Hillard, I think that's a reach. That really is a reach.
You know.
If you want to see it that way, it makes you
Rick,
comfy.
Rick, no, here's.
That's a reach.
Here's.
That was the millennials finding some reason to congregate, make noise, express themselves.
You know, Rick. Here's how this is. Don't forget, because we're by the rules that we now know exist. This isn't what we're doing here. Will be available in ways out of our control.
Yes.
And I want it. I'm not going to look at the camera, but I'm going to look at you, so you really understand.
All right.
What I just said, that's gold for your show. I got it right, and like often happens when somebody hears something that turns out to be new, novel, that they go, no way. That's you just got gold, my friend, and in keeping with
I'll
the character.
have to watch the tape.
Go for it. But it's
to
fascinating.
see what I missed.
It's fascinating. I think if you watch the tape,
you want to talk about the future now?
Yeah, let's go for it. You ready?
Yeah.
So you want to start with who's going to win?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You're just going to write it down, and then next time we do a show, we'll take a peek at who was right.
That depends. Okay, so Hillary's going to win, and the real interesting question is by how much. My Republican friends tell me it's going to be closer than I think.
All two of them?
They tell me it's going to be closer than I think, and that I'm under the umbrella of the liberal media, and I'm missing stuff. And then I ask them, well, what stuff am I missing? And my friends say stuff like, well, it's something I see or my gut.
Right.
If they were telling me it's by the lawn signs around our greater Delaware Valley, they may be onto something. I'm just driving here today, it's like some kind of epidemic of Trump signs in lawns and open spaces. So, you know, maybe they've got something. But my Republican friends think it'll be a difference of less than a percentage for Pennsylvania. The polling aggregates say we're between 5 and 7%. So I'm open to being surprised at how close it'll be, but I don't see a path for Trump nationally, and I'd be very surprised if he ran.
Mostly because of the key states and the Electoral College.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
The numbers.
Right.
Not the popular vote.
Yeah, I know my Republican friends think it's going to be close in the popular vote. I just don't see it. So that leaves the door open for you. What do you got?
I really don't know, and that's the honest to God truth. I really don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Part of me wants to believe that he'll pull it out, that there is that huge 20%, they estimate, independent vote that could go either way, and early indications are it's leaning in Trump's direction. Whether or not that's enough, who knows? I'm more concerned about the dirty tricks. I'm really concerned about, as he says, the election being rigged, because in the face of all the protestations from the folks who say it isn't, never happened, isn't happening, there's all the evidence that it's already happening. And so just as this campaign,
I'm just curious, what have you
the
got?
reports from Texas, the reports from other states about people who are walking into booths, they pull excuse me, the Republican lever, and out pops Clinton. The machines are either bad or somebody's rigging the machines.
And
if people walk in, and I can know this from my own, if I vote a straight ticket,
Right.
I usually don't hang around to see whether or not.
No, so if I Google Texas and rigged voting, I'll see this. I can follow up on the story you're telling me.
Yes,
okay.
and as well as other states.
Okay.
Philadelphia, although it is claimed that we've never had any problems in Philadelphia, Philadelphia's been a hotbed of bad electioneering over the years. I won't go into all the details because it's going to be one allegation against the other. That's not the point. The point is, it is stupid to say we don't have any problems in our election system.
And you think it's broad enough
on both sides? It is stupid.
That the charge rigged is credible?
I believe there will be enough evidence to indicate that in certain states, pivotal states, there will be evidence of some chicanery.
And what would you advise Trump to do? Contest the election, or?
I don't know. It depends on what the numbers actually turn out to be and what new evidence is uncovered. Again, on both sides, to see whether or not the system is as pure as everybody wants to believe it is. And whether or not we truly have a democratic process.
Well, it's my turn to learn something new and unexpected, and I'm not going to protest. It's on record, and we'll get to come back and
there
figure
are
out,
reports. That's all I can tell you.
No,
and there are individuals who are reporting. This is what I experienced, and enough of them to be concerned that it might represent something more than that. Beyond that, though, this is the way I see it anyway. Here we have a candidate, Hillary, who has tried twice to be named president of this country. Will have tried twice.
This is her second time.
This is her second time. Will have tried twice. But she's been preparing for it most of her adult life, as she was preparing her husband almost from the time they first met to become president of the United States, according to the lore that is built up around this couple. She can't afford to lose, because if she loses, not only the ego, but the economic consequences, the political consequences, and perhaps criminal consequences, because, as I think you will agree, if Trump wins, if the Republicans win, she will be indicted. I don't think there's any question about that. That'll be another circus, but she will be in serious, serious trouble. Her political career, to the extent, will have been over, and she'll have other things to worry about. The point is, she's got to win. Now the question is, to what lengths will they go to make sure that she wins the White House?
So great. Stuff I never. When I walked in, I couldn't foresee where you were going to go. It's always.
It was a clean sheet. Right?
No, I know but it's that mind of yours. How do you? Okay, so no. So here's some thoughts though. Here's some thoughts because
We're running out of time again. I'm sorry.
inconveniently, one would be
It wasn't rigged.
Be careful what you wish for because I think that the persecution of Hillary, if it's been as evidenced by the dancing women of North Carolina, is a meme that says the gender divide is real and should be, and now here's more evidence of it being real. Then that would be a mistake for the professional Republicans to do that, to participate in. If you win, you win. Why go beat the heck out of somebody? That would be a big mistake if they go there.
The control room says we have to wrap it up. Are they going to cut us off?
All right.
So we'll see.
Oh,
it's been great.
I'm going to pop some popcorn.
Been great fun,
Yes,
and
right,
we'll
right.
come back again when it's all over and
Right,
see if we
right.
can put the pieces back together.
Right.
After this egg has been broken.
Yes, or the cake has been baked.
Whatever metaphor you choose.
Right.
Until next time, this is 30 Minutes. I am Rick Anthony. I hope you've enjoyed this. We certainly have. Always good to be with you. Take very good care of yourselves.